No sound. My bad. My bad. My bad. Y'all can hear me now? Jesus Christ. All right, so we cool. We cool. We cool. All right. Um Last night I'ma just do this show. This gonna be a quick one. We're not gonna wait for everybody. We're not even gonna wait for everybody to get in here. We just gonna do this now. Um, I feel like I'm at a stalemate, right? I'm gonna offer a I'm gonna offer a stalemate. Um, because I feel like it's splitting hairs, and this conversation can go on forever, right? Because it's going to end up getting into a biblical thing, right? Where now we're just relying on interpretation, right? So let's get it.
Normally I don't, like.
So as soon as after the song, I'm gonna cue all my stuff up and we gonna get it in. Let me make sure everything's working properly.
We trying to figure out like why they be hating on.
Y'all jam with Kent for a second.
But then I learned,
It's
you
Kent.
know, to understand the
Killer Kent.
You gotta look at things from their perspective. Put yourself in their shoes. That's how I came. They say Soldier ain't from the hood. He ain't had the news on the stove. He looking too good. Living in the house, fireplace. He burning the wood. Riding in that mirror every day. Yeah, just like he should. Bitch, I would if I could, but I hate that nigga. Ain't that nigga. Make it look easy. Look how break that nigga. Quarterback like Reed, but he ain't no fucking saint, nigga. I can do it too, but I'm mad cause I can't, nigga. Look at him. Look how he never slipping. We should've killed him long ago. Now look how he living. It's steady winning. Yeah, I'm losing, but I don't struggle. Skinning and grinning. He a real nigga, man, but fuck low. Taking Henny, he got a bad habit. A queen stay on his arm with his granddaddy name was Peter Rabbit. Fuck him. Nigga don't trust him. Yeah, he solid as steel, but that money gon' rust him. And too many people love him. I mean, I understand, goddamn, when a nigga winning, and you losing, you kind of be feeling some type of way and shit. But I'm like, let's all get this money, you know what I'm saying? But continue to goddamn, but that ain't none of my business. But this is just me. This is dedicated to them hater nation, man. You know what I'm saying? He a dirty nigga. Bitch and give him back like he ain't heard of niggas. Ain't scared of niggas. He was raised by the young and fearless. When's the last time you seen this nigga? Yeah, he think he clean when he pull up on the scene with his feelings missing. Sociopathic, but I wouldn't want my car next to his in traffic. And at me he's laughing. It's like he's pricing. I'm the passion. It's like he's packing and I'm the one that's lacking. Fatal attraction, affirmative action. Hey, hell nah, nigga can't be. He just made another chess move I can't see. He probably feel like this Nintendo, he the game genie. On FB, he always talking shit, I'm about to be leaked. You see me, never see eye to eye. His circle small, but he always dividing the pie. I can't lie, but fuck him. Nigga don't trust him. Yeah, he solid as steel, but them haters gon' rust him. Man, too many people love him. Yeah, man, damn, that's how y'all feel. Shit, I mean, what can I do? I mean, hey, I want us all to eat, you feel me? But everybody can't win, it gotta be a loser. So, I mean, shit, fuck it. This shit was jamming. I like, classic shit. Goddamn, about to pull up, do say in the cup. Cause I don't give a fuck. It's all love though. Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah. Okay. Oh, we still going. Shit. That's what I'm talking about. Let's get it.
All right, yeah, y'all. That was Kent. That was Kent. Like the show, we gonna get right into it. Oh man, we gonna get right into it. Let me get back down here. I was just looking for something. No, we're not gonna go there yet. Boom. Let's go back to me. All right. So yeah, all right. Last night, actually, when I was presenting my information, I ended up putting up a source that debunked what I was trying to say. I played it off, and I went on to something else, and I started, and I pulled up the Zoom, right? Because I was embarrassed, but it ain't no. And I looked at the chat, and I'm like, somebody gonna be like, man, this dude a damn idiot, right? But ain't nobody pick up on it, right? So I played it off, but I was waiting. I said, somebody seen that, right? And I actually read it out loud. So, I had time to regroup because everything that I had set the show up and I had all my sources ready, right? And I felt as though, man, I got the silver bullet. But when I went live, I went to my other computer and I didn't save all of the tabs, right, that I had set up in order to knock all of my points down. So since I didn't have all my tabs set, I actually started Googling to try to get those things back. And I started reading stuff, right? I put stuff on the screen and I started reading stuff before I could actually look at it before I presented it. But I'm reading it live to y'all and it actually killed me, right? And I couldn't recover from it because my brain wasn't moving quick enough to go and find the tabs that would have saved me. So I just felt defeated in the moment. I got defeated by technology. My damn internet and my ability to work the internet failed me at the moment that I needed it the most. So hopefully I do a better job today. So cross y'all fingers. I hope I could bring it home. But either way, I feel as though it's even if I succeed in making my point, I still feel as though it's a stalemate, right? It will be a stalemate because they do have two sources, two credible sources, right? That states what they are saying, right? But the more up-to-date statements kind of confirm what I'm saying. But they do have two older sources that say what they saying. So they not pulling this out of nowhere. Let's say that's a better way to put it. They're not getting it. They're not making this up, right? Hapi, it was Egyptologists early on that did state that Hapi was the river itself, right? So we done found scholars who actually said that. But I feel as though the weight of the argument, I have more of the weight of the argument with me, and I tend to go and prove that now. But how everybody doing today anyway? Who's in here? Hold on, let's see who in here. Who in here messing with us? My bad, wrong screen. Show screen. All right, this the show screen. All right, this the show screen. All right. Who we got in here? All right, we got Claudia Youssef, what it do? Valencia, what's up? Tuck my yap, what up, Doug? Brendan, hey, yo, man, Brendan was just on the phone, man. Brendan gave us some hell of a sources, man. He's a great resource. You dig what I'm saying? I know he be busy working, but he still, take the time out to read over material, share it with us, you know what I mean? And basically give us a level head and make sure we, whether we're right or wrong, making sure we at least heading in the right direction. You dig what I'm saying? And presenting our information, as clear as possible. And So I appreciate that. Cedric, Cedric is becoming the source himself, right? That's our Caribbean brother doing his thing. You dig what I'm saying? I like the way he keeps everything methodical, right? With his scientific mind. He don't like to stray away from it, and that actually is a help to all of us. So I appreciate that too. Yeah, I know Tuck. Everybody, damn. Unky Joe, what's up? I know my sound was out. DJ L Rock, Baltimore's best. What it do, yo? What it do? What it do, Doug? All right. Raymond, what's up, Raymond? Who else we got in here? American Dream. The dream is in the building. The dream is in the building. Moses, what's up, Moses? Good conversation the other night, bro. I appreciate all y'all. All right. TNBN. What up? What up? Peace to you too, bro. All right, Tamika. Tamika, what's up, Tamika? Chris Cross, what's happening? What's happening? Cool Joe, what it do, yo? You guys start coming on late night and kick that information, man. That you're a hell of a historian. I'll listen back to the shows that you come on. You're a hell of a historian, and you from down my way anyway. So we do that. You feel me? VA in the building. Feel me? Delmarva, Delaware, Maryland, and Virginia. You already know what it is. All right. 504, what it do? Sadiq, what's up? What's up? James Modest, what it do? Contrarian Thinker, what up? Tony Macaroni, Chief X, what up, cuz? Yeah, so, all right. First, I want to go here. Let's go here. Damn, yeah, I heard they gave R. Kelly. Y'all about to get me off topic. I heard they gave R. Kelly 30 years. That is horrible. That is horrible. Some people feel like he deserved it, but I'm not going to get into that. All right. So let's go to what I want to go to first. I want to go to boom. All right, I hope everybody can see my screen, and let's get it. All right. This is the resource that Brother Smash and the big bro Reggie showed me how to use, right? To get to these Egyptian words and how they was used, right? This is the Source Lingua Egypte, and they call it for short the TLA. All right. So, this is a German resource, right, and website. You can put any you put any word in there, right, and they'll show you the Egyptian equivalent to it and where it was used in the Egyptian language at and how it was used. And it gives you its ancient spelling, right? So when I go in here, I put Nile in, the River Nile. All right, y'all see that? Nile. When I click it, start, all right, it's in English. Now, they'll give you all of the times, right, that the Nile, that they have a hit for the word Nile, right? Or the equivalent to the word Nile, right? So, we see right here that they got this JNN.T and they got the HAPJ, that's happy, right? But that's not, the Nile. It tells you right there what the Nile brings forth. So my contention is every time you see that term happy, right? in reference to the river, it's going to be talking about the inundation or the life force that that God brings forth out of the river. All right. But on the contrary, they have another word, right, that means river. And that's this word right here, if y'all can see it, right? I think they pronounce it Itaru, right? Itaru, right? And y'all can look right here, the definition. It says great river, the Nile, main arm of the Nile. Great river, that's what the word means. Great river, but you know what river that they're talking about because they live up and down the Nile. So their great river is the Nile. So their word for the river itself is the Great Nile. That's what I'm proposing. The word for river is Great Nile. The word for the God and the inundation is this word right here. Y'all see this? Hapi. The Nile flood. That's the definition. All right. Now, we're just going to do this for 2 minutes. I'm going to click on the word happy, and we're going to see how it's used. English. All right. Happy is the word in red right there. So they give you the whole Egyptian sentence, right? And then they'll give you right there the word, right? So let me click this out, my bad. Now, I'm not as good as Reggie and Smash with this, so I'm trying to explain it as best as possible. But hopefully I do a good job. But anyway, they can work these tools faster than me. They've been doing this for years. So I know I'm looking like I'm fumbling around, but you know, I'm an amateur at this. I'll admit it. All right, but I think I can prove my point. Here we go. Remember, this is the word we're looking for, right? Happy. Let's see how it's used. In this sentence, it says, this unas comes an immortal, like the one to be praised, who is over the flood of the Nile. Happy, the flood of the Nile. That's what it's called, the flood. Happy is the flood. Here we go again. Another place where it's used. You see it right here? Combined with this other word. It says, their heirs fall to impoverishment, their houses to conflagration, destruction, their halls to the high flood of the Nile. Again, it's talking about the flood. Something that the Nile was doing, the supernatural aspect that they believe that, you know, that is imbued in the river. But is talking about that phenomenon, not the river itself. That's what I'm proposing. And let's see. Again, right here, happy. The servant of the light, the pelican, fell into the flood of the Nile. Meaning, it could fall into the Nile itself, right? But it's saying it fell into the, come on. It's saying it fell into the flood itself, meaning this must have been the time of the inundation, right? So it was excess water everywhere. And animals, certain animals could die, I guess, because it's saying that this animal didn't just fall into the river. It fell into the flood, the overflow of the river, right? Here we go again. Here you go is this word combined with this. So it's happy right here. It says, Teti's life support is more than the of the year. They must don't know what that word, they got a question mark right there. It's a Teti's offering is more than the flooding of the Nile. See, every time they're talking about the flooding, right, or the inundation, they're talking about, they reference the word happy. All right, here we go again. The servant of the light, pelican, fell into the flood of the Nile. That's another attestation of that. All right, some of these are repeating themselves, but it's 300 of these, right? Their heirs fall to impoverishment is repeating itself, but I can keep going. It says, but when the water comes as a great flood, thus you shall till it, the land with emer, right? It's saying, but not when the river comes, right? It says when the happy, right? When the happy come, when the happy comes as a great flood. That's the word that they're using. As a great flood. Not the river come. It says when the happy come. It is saying that you should know when to till the land. Right? And then it gives you inundation. Right? That's what it is. The inundation. Happy right here again. But now has the flood become very large. Not the river has become very large. You have the main river. They said that the flood became very large. Now, let's get off of that. I think I proved that anytime it was talking about happy, for the most part, it's talking about the flood and the inundation. All right. Now, let's go to this word right here, which is great river, the Nile, and let's see the context that they use that. All right, click it in English, like Reggie showed me. Boom. Now let's get it. All right, right here, just like it had the word happy, it's showing you the part of the sentence that is in. All right, so we'll know when we come to it. All right. All right, we start right here. And he installed for me the southern boundary stele. He made the northern boundary stele exquisite like the sky. And he distributed the great river, the Nile, on its back, which meant in the middle. So, all right, this is what they're doing. They are basically, anytime that they are pointing to just the river, meaning some place on the river, right? Because the river was a part of their geography. So if you're going up the river, down the river, at certain points in the river, in the middle of the river, they wouldn't call it happy, right? They was just calling it the river. And you see that right there, the great river, right? It says, and he installed it for me, the southern boundary. They're talking about where they put the Stela at, what part of the river they put the Stela on, right? They erected a Stela for this guy, right? Now, they ain't saying they erected it on Happy. No, because Happy is the goddamn flood. They saying they erected it at a certain point in the great river. So they distinguishing it, and I'm going to keep proving it. He says, right here, you see, this is the river, the great river again. Here with the word being used again. It said that he erected the southern Stela, right? The northern one excellent like the heavens, and that he divided the great river in the middle. Its eastern half belongs to the region. The great river in the middle. This is where they put the Stelas at. He's telling you this. He's not putting it in the happy, right? Because they're only talking about the happy is when they're talking about the flood. But when they're talking about going down to the river, they're not going down to the happy. They're going down to the river. Happy was the god of the annual inundation. Y'all still don't believe me? Look. Here go the word again. And I'm not skipping around because it's used like this in every one of these little paragraphs that's pulled out. The river is used the word iteru is used the same way. It say the great river. See that? Not the happy, right? This word right here, Itaru, the great river, was apportioned for him in the middle. And the western half belongs to Sinopolites, to the western desert areas according to it. See, so they always, when they're talking about, locations, points on the map, when they're not talking about Happy. They're talking about the river itself. All right, let's get off of that. Let's go to, all right, let's go to my bad. Let's go to, my bad, y'all. All right, I got this, the Dictionary of Ancient Egypt. No, y'all don't want that, yo. All right, my bad, y'all. Let me get back to this. Now that's in the TLA iPad. All right, boom. Let's go to my iPad. All right. Now, I have this let's go to the British Museum, the Dictionary of Ancient Egypt. Now, when you go down to H, you go down to Happy. Let me move my picture out the way so y'all don't think I'm trying to pull a wool over y'all eyes. Is y'all still with me? All right. Here we go. Happy, god of the inundation. Listen to these first sentences. The Egyptians made an important distinction between the Nile itself, which was simply known as Itaru, the river, and the Nile inundation, which they deified in the form of Hapi. Checkmate. Is that a checkmate right there? Let me read it again. The Egyptians made an important distinction between the Nile itself, which was simply known as Itaru, the river, and the Nile inundation, which they deified in the form of Hapi. Was that clear? Or do we got to read it again? Was it clear or do we have to read it again? Happy, god of the inundation. The Egyptians made an important distinction between the Nile itself, which was simply known as Itaru, the river, and the Nile inundation, which they deified in the form of Hapi. They made a distinction. Hold on, let me switch this over because y'all think I'm playing. They made a distinction. Don't worry about the notification. I just went live. I was, So they made a distinction between the river and the inundation. That was simple. Now, y'all don't believe me. Remember, this is not me. I just pulled up the TLA, right? And I just went to Oxford. I went to the British Museum, the Oxford British Museum, right? It's all good when Unc used the museum, right? When Unc used the museum, they checkmate us, right? Everybody cheer. I used the museum, right? The dictionary in the museum clearly said that the Egyptians made made a distinction between the river and the god Hapi. The river was called Itaru, the great river. The flood or the inundation is called the Hapi. But I have more. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Why I need to make a cut YouTube channel? What are you talking about, Reggie? But hey, whatever y'all think, you dig what I'm saying, is cool with me. Yeah, this live, Chaz. This live. We live. You dig what I'm saying? Let's pull that back up, y'all. Let's pull that back up. So nobody don't miss it. This is from the British Museum. This is the British Museum Dictionary of Ancient Egypt. All right? Hapi, god of the inundation. The Egyptians made an important distinction between the Nile itself, which was simply known as Itaru, the river, and the Nile inundation, which they deified in the form of Hapi. Now, if you don't believe the goddamn Brooklyn Museum, I mean, I'm messing with Unc. He showed us that Brooklyn Museum piece a million times. So, I'm stuck on that. Let's go back to the good old TLA jumper, right? Let's go back. What that say? Now, right? Let's hit it again. Let's see if they say the same thing. Boom. Here go the word. Itaru is spelled a little bit different, but it's the same word. Right here. Y'all see where my curse at? Let's blow this up. Y'all won't, think I'm playing. All right. Here go the word right here. Itaru, right? The great river, the Nile, main arm of the Nile, great river. That's the definition of the word. Itaru, the great river. That's the word for Nile the Egyptians used. All right? Down here, Hapi, the Nile flood. Y'all see that? The Nile flood. Hapi, god of inundation, the Egyptians made an important distinction between the Nile itself, which was simply known as Itaru, the river, and the Nile inundation, which they deified in the form of Hapi. I mean, like, but to be fair, I said it's also, I'll take this as a stalemate, right? I will take this as a stalemate. And for the reason why I'll take this as a stalemate is because of this very reason right here. This very reason right here. Let me go back to my screen share. Boom. All right. When you go up here and you if you go ahead and you hit now and wiki, right? And you go down to etymology, it says the standard English name White Nile and Blue Nile refer to the river source derived from the Arabic names formerly applied to only the Sudanese stretches of the river, or blah, 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 which meet at Khartoum, right? But when you get down here, look, let's be honest. It says in the ancient Egyptian language, the Nile is called Hapi or Itaru, meaning river. In Coptic, the word is pyro or phyro, means the river, and comes from the same ancient name. All right, so Wiki saying that that the ancient Egyptians called the river Hapi or Itaru, right? So, it's not like they're pulling this out of their booties, but I will take the British Museum, right? We were taught, right, that museums and cited authorities like the British Museum weighs more than Wikipedia. If it doesn't weigh more than Wikipedia, right? If Wikipedia and the British Museum is on the same level far as wise the level of their scholarship, then then it's something new. If I can put Wiki on the same level as the British Museum, tell me now. Be honest. Is Wiki equivalent to the British Museum? All right, let's go back. So right here is saying that the Nile was used as it was called in the ancient Egyptian language, the Nile was called the Hapi or Itaru, meaning river. So it said it. So I'm willing to give them a stalemate, right? But if the British Museum in Oxford, right, holds more weight than the wiki, then let's see what Oxford says again. Because Oxford says that that the Egyptians made an important distinction between the Nile itself, which was simply known as Itaru, and the river and the Nile inundation, which they deified in the form of Hapi. So, but let's go further. Let's see. Let's go to my show screen. So let's go further. Because we don't have to be done yet. We definitely don't have to be done yet. Let's go back to my library. All right, let's go to, I think I got a Oxford book. Let me see. No, that's breasted. I don't want breasted. All right, well, yeah, we can go to breasted, right? All right, let's go to, because breasted said with what oh my, fix that. All right, let's go to the iPad. All right, this is breasted. Breasted said what Smashing Them said, right? Breasted. So let's see what breasted said about Hapi. All right, let me see. Where is that? All right, here we go. Now, this is breasted, and he says It has already been said above that the god Osiris was probably in pre-dynastic times a river god or a water god, and that in course of time he became identified with Hap or Hapi, the god of the Nile. When such an identification took place, we have no means of knowing, but that such was undoubtedly the case is apparent from large numbers of passages in texts of all periods. The meaning of the name of the Nile god has not yet been satisfactorily explained, and the derivation proposed for it by the priests in the late dynastic period in no way helps us. It is certain that Hep, later known as Hap, is a very ancient name for the Nile and the Nile god, and it is probably the name which was given to the river by the pre-dynastic inhabitants of Egypt. One of the oldest mentions of Hep is found in the text of Unas, where it is said, keep watch, O messenger, keep watch, O ye who have lain down, wake up, ye who are in Kinset, O ye aged ones, thou great Tyre, who cometh forth from Hep, thou who cometh forth from the assert tree. The mouth of Unas is pure. It is important to note that Hep is mentioned in connection with Kinset. Now, Kinset here means the first nome of Egypt, in which were included the first which was included the first cataract. All right, now let me explain that. My bad, y'all can't see it. There it go right there. All right, so now, Reggie, maybe you can help me out. I think Breasted interpreted that wrong, right? And the reason why I say Breasted interpreted that wrong is because at the when he gave his explanation at the top, y'all see the top is his breakdown of it, right? Then he gives the hymn or whatever, right? That made him draw his conclusion from. Now, but when you read that, what the Egyptians said, it talked about the first cataract. Well, the first cataract is where Hapi supposed to have lived at, right? Down there around Aswan in a cave, right? And anytime when it was time for him to give its abundance to Egypt, right, he would leave his cave, right? Because he lived in a cave. The river didn't live in a cave. Hapi lived in a cave. And again, what did we just learn from the British Museum? The British Museum said that Hapi and the river are two different things. We know that the river, which is the natural body of water, right, is not a person. So it doesn't live anywhere. So who lived in the cave that the Egyptians is talking about? Hapi lived in a cave, right? Not the river. Hapi lived in the cave, right? And when he wanted to give forth its abundance to Egypt, he left the cave and overflooded the banks of the Nile in Egypt. Remember, the river flows through Egypt 365 days a year. 365 days a year, the river flows through. But it's a certain season that Hap or Hapi comes to Egypt, right? And that's during the inundation. And Hap is personified, right? Is what you call an androgynous, right? Anthropomorphic god, right? So they give it both androgynous, is male and female, is dual sexual kind of, right? So he would have breasts, he would have a stomach, penis, you know what I mean? It is androgynous, right? It's male and female. All right. He was depicted as male and female, which is androgynous, and he was also depicted anthropomorphic as a human being, like putting, you know what I mean, whatever it is, the life force or the flood was made to in the body of personified in the body of a human or depicted that way. But that entity, right, lived in a cave below the first cataract. So I feel like Breasted interpreted that passage wrong. Because in that passage, it clearly said that that Hep is coming from his mouth, and the mouth was included, was the first cataract, and that's where Hep had lived at. So I think in that passage is also talking about the inundation period and the flood coming. That's my interpretation of it. I feel like Breasted might have interpreted it wrong. I think everything that he has might line up correctly, but I think his interpretation is what's off. Okay. All right, Reg, I'll send you a link right now, brother. I'll send you a link right now. Let me grab a link for brother Reggie. Grab a link for the brothers. Boom. Boom. I know you go multiple. Boom. Invite. Copy. Invite link. Boom. All right. That was the link, Reg. All right, let me get back into this. All right, now that was your boy Breasted right there. So but we got more. We got more. Hold on. We got more. And like I said, so I just showed you 2 times where it is used as where the wiki said that Hep that the Nile was called Hep or Itaru by the ancient Egyptians. So we have that, and then we have the Breasted who said it also. So they're not pulling this out of nowhere. So I will lay down a stalemate to say that is sources on both sides that say it was used interchangeably. I mean, it's sources. It's a source that says, it's 2 sources that I've seen that said that Hep was used synonymously with the river, but I presented the case that most of the time, or that every time that I could show that Hep is used, it is talking about the inundation. And let's not forget that association, right? That association is different from the thing itself, right? Just because it's associated with the river doesn't make it the river itself. I'm going to say that again, Umar Johnson style. See, Umar Johnson repeat things 3 times. Apparently, I'm going to have to start repeating things 3 times. Just because it is associated with the river does not make it the river. Remember, the inundation is associated with the river, right? Because the river is flooding. All right? But the flood and the inundation is was being deified, not the river. They said that the river is deified. No, they knew that the river was just a river. The river was just a river. And they said it. It's the river. The great river. That's the best they did with it, the great river. Said it, the great river. So, all right, we got brother Reggie coming in here. Brother Reg, what's happening?
You're doing a good job, chef, man. It's amazing and it's beautiful when people can begin to use the tools to verify their thinking instead of ranting and or making up stuff like the comedic people do, right? And so I never see the comedic people, except for Saw Ka, who I don't call him just comedic, use actually the TLA and the tools. Most of the people, they just simply quote something, and then that's the truth. And then when you ask for evidence, you find out that they can't even read the meta-netia, for the most part. Okay, so my general pointers in my thinking is that the ancient Egyptians, the people of the Nile, they deified qualities rather than things. So a hawk is not, all hawks are not herus, just a particular function of it. And so even when you look at other nouns, like the ib is important because it's not a netter, but there is a particular function that is important to the cosmology and the general thinking of the Nile Valley Africans. So one of the things that we always do is we also look at other texts. So one of the texts I'm going to put on the screen, and I guess in some sense there's not a hard line because the Egyptians, if I want to call them that, were also poetic, right? And so there's no hard lines. Sometimes there are no hard lines. Okay, so I'm gonna put on the famine, Stela, and I was just searching for the translation and transliterations. I can get that in a few minutes, but okay. It was written in the Ptolemaic period, and but it was drawn from a later text. And the story is the king Zoser, or Neterket, divine body, his kingdom was in jeopardy because Hapi had not come. And so the story is that he asked his chief lector or his chief priestess, Imhotep, from where does the Nile flow? And so I'm going to read what he says, and it gives us a context of what they might have been thinking. I was in the morning on my throne. You can see the screen?
Yeah, I can see it.
I was in the morning on my throne. Those of the palace were in grief. My heart was in great affliction because Hapi had failed to come in time in a period of 7 years. Grain was scant, kernels were dried up, scarce was every kind of food. Every man robbed his twins. Those who entered did not go. Children cried, youngsters fell. The hearts of the old were grieving. Legs drawn up, they hugged the ground. Their arms clamped about them. Courtiers were needy. Temples were shut. Shrines covered with dust, and everyone was in distress. So you're looking at a great time period of climatic change in ancient Egypt, where Hapi did not come. Hapi being a number of things. So then he said, I directed to turn to the past. I consulted one of the staff of the Ibis, the chief lector, priest Imhotep, son of Ptah, south of his wall. In which place is Hapi born? Where is the town of the Cineous one? Which god dwells there? Right? That he might join with me. So Hapi is the river, or the Itaru is the river, calling Hapi, but the king wants to know what netter dwells there, so he can talk to him, join him. So Imhotep stood. I shall go to the mansion of the net. It is designed to support a man in deeds. I shall enter the house of life. Unroll the souls of Re. I shall be guided by them. So basically, he goes into the Per Ankh, right? The house of life, the mystery system. He enrolls the souls of Ba, the Ba of Re, which is the sacred scrolls. Again, they're looking at a quality of the thing. I shall be guided by them. He departed, he returned to me quickly. He let me know the flow of Hapi, his shores, and all the things that they contain. He disclosed to me the hidden wonders to which the ancestors had made their way, and no king had equaled them since. So I had used this to help the argument that Dr. Yusuf Ben Jokanan said, we come from the mountains of the moon where the god Hapi dwelt, right? As the Famine text is the best statement as to what he was saying, because where it says shores, they're talking about things called corrects, right? Which are like rock formations. He said to me, there's a town in the midst of the deep, surrounded by Hapi, surrounded by the river Hapi, Yebu, elephantine by name, which is Yebu, right? Elephant, my name. It is the first known to Wawet, earthly elevation, celestial hill, seat of Re, where he prepares to give life to every face. Its temple's name is Joy of Life. The twin caverns is the water's name. They are the beasts that nourish all. It is in the house of sleep of Hapi. It is the house of sleep. It is the house of sleep of Hapi. He grows young in it in his time. It is the place where he brings the flood, bounding up, copulates as main copulist with women, renewing his manhood with joy, coursing 28 cubits high. He passes Sema Beadet at 7. Okay, so then so one of the things that I just want you to that helps both arguments either way is that there is a netter involved. His name becomes Hapi, or his name is Hapi. So it seems that the river is an aspect of Hapi, right?
Not Hapi is an aspect of the river.
No, Hapi. The river is an aspect of the netter.
Okay. What netter?
The netter Hapi. The river is Itaru.
Yeah,
right?
the river is Itaru, but Sobek made the river, right?
No, Sobek lives amongst the shores.
Okay.
The river is a quality of Hapi. So there's another part where he says, okay, so he says, list all the names of the gods in the temple of Khnum: Sothis, Anukis, Hapi, Shu, Geb, Nod, Seer, Hor, Iset, Nephet, right? Okay, then says, learn the names of the stone materials which are to be found lying in the midst of the Rocky Mountains, which are the east and the west, which are on the island of the river, right? On the island of the river, right? And so why we need the TLA on this is to actually source what do they say when they say river? Are they saying Itaru or Hapi?
Yeah, that's. Yeah, can we pull that up?
Yeah, I think so. Let me see if I can pull it up on the TLA and see.
Because anytime that it's talking about where he lived at, for me, that will be a clear indication that they're talking about the deity Hapi and not the river itself. they would be talking about, because Happy lived, in a cave down there at the first cataract, right? That's where he lived at. Not the river is all through Egypt 24/7. You know what I mean? It don't live nowhere, but Happy lived somewhere. That's the personification that we're talking about, from my understanding.
I'm messing. Okay. So his name is Imhotep. Let's say. So let's just say. Uh, uh, let's just say. There's another way I can do it. That's why I needed some time. Let's just say.
Just put in river. Just put in river.
Yeah. Okay. So if I put in river and then I go to I'm just trying to figure out which one do I want to use. Okay, so let's just try this one and see if we can see through it and we can see the famine Stela.
Do you remember the number of the?
No. Just have to go through. Period of Nice, rivers, eloquent farmer, just peasant. Let's see. So we're looking for the Stela of Yabu. If you see it before I see it, or the famine Stela, or otherwise I have to come back. Stela Kamos.
I know it's like 300 something attestation, so it's gonna be like finding a needle in a haystack.
Yeah, but we're looking we're looking at the top line, so okay. I'm just scrolling quickly. Let's get this. Yeah. So, but while I do this, do you understand? You're understanding basically that it's always a quality of something, right?
Yeah. That was a good point.
Yeah. Of a particular thing. It's not the thing itself. It's not the thing itself, and a lot of people get that messed up, especially the comedics who don't, who are the worst of the group of people, the religious people who never check. They just pick up the Book of the Dead and hear some sermon, right? And then they hear a sermon from a priest, and that's what they believe. Mm-hmm. But otherwise, if I don't find in the next 3 or 4, then what I'll do is I'll go and pull it up from I'll see if I can pull it up. Burgett, he was the one who translated it, and I think that I have the translation of it, but I'm sorry that it's not coming up. So in general, so what is your thinking, Chef?
No, I agree. I agree with what you said. You know what I mean? They deified aspects of nature, not or as you know what I mean, like the hippo, right? They would deify, what they sing, far as wise, if it was a had large breasts, then they would say, that the breast was represented fertility and feeding people. You know what I mean? Not that that breast itself is magical. You dig what I'm saying? But they would take the aspect or the quality out of it and deify that. I totally agree with that.
Okay, so I don't want to hold you up. I'm going to find it in another thing. I just have to search my page, and I was trying to stall before I actually came on. But okay, so here's the thing. So generally, Hapi lives in the Kurort. He lives in a Kurort. This kind of rock foundation, this temple. Mm-hmm. So there's a temple there in this area around the cataracts, right? And in that known area of Wawet. And Happy controls the flow of the river. He controls the inundation. So in this, and you know, Chef, it just bothers me that we actually have to use kind of like a story to make some type of sense. So what are we doing? Are we looking in a Bible or something to prove something? What are we doing
What do you mean?
at this point? You understand what I'm saying?
Uh-uh.
No. What are we doing? The real point is, the real point of it is were the ancient Egyptians Mediterranean people? That's the real point of this.
Define
Looking
Mediterranean.
Huh?
Define Mediterranean.
Yeah, Mediterranean in the modern sense means the Aegean, I guess the Aegean Sea with Crete and Macedonia.
That's one part of the Mediterranean.
Right.
The Aegean is a sea in the Mediterranean Sea.
Yes. Right. So that is the more modern thinking of the Mediterranean that we are. This is the library of this is Itaru. This is the papyrus match. Okay, so let's look at this. He which came forth from Noon, which is the river, gave birth to. I don't think this is the thing. So what are we doing again? The ancient people of the Nile River are one of the groups of peoples that created civilizations around rivers, not around oceans or bodies of waters. So largely they were on the shores of things where they can get water from, and they can graze their livestock and grow food. So you have the people in the Levant, and you have the people in Tigris Euphrates, and you have the people in the Nile. It is there in these communities where they had local gods or local netters, right? And then that's where they actually worshiped. They're not around the Mediterranean per se, because the Mediterranean, you can't feed your crops. All you can just do is kind of fish there, right? And so that's not as important to them as rivers. Rivers are more important. We'll probably talk more about that later when it comes to bust a ass. So the river peoples are different than the sea people. The sea people find themselves around, when you have large boats. The river people are where the large communities of people are. So if you don't get that, okay. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. I failed, and I'm gonna bring it up from another source.
Okay.
But if you don't get that, then you not that you shouldn't study history, but you really shouldn't talk. You find that you are if you don't understand things like modes of production, like the Levant mode of production, the African mode of production, the Asiatic mode of production, if you don't understand terms like that, then you don't understand the peopling around things that would facilitate their modes of production. And so the Mediterranean was important when there were large ships and Egyptians was traveling to Crete and stuff like that. But it wasn't important. What was more important than land travel, coursing waterways to get to other lands. And so now that's where why? Because they're following their herds. They're following livestock. They're following how can I say? They're trading. So they care about going from land to land, but the Mediterranean is not a kind of food producing area for these people. What you want to be concerned about is the people around the other water sources that they can use.
No, I agree. I agree with that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So the Mediterranean niggas is just a code word for Asiatic, but then they don't understand other terms like the Golden Triangle. They don't understand the Golden Triangle. They don't understand the different periods of climate that led to areas being populated. They don't understand that. So then it's okay, but they shouldn't run their mouths against people who are kind of for study. They just shouldn't run their mouths. So I'll stop talking, let you talk, and I'll pull up the Famine, Stela. Okay.
All right, go ahead and pull that up. Now check this out. Now we're gonna go to another source.
I like your library.
I
like your library, Chef. Oh shit.
All right, so check it out. We're gonna go to the Rutledge Dictionary of Egyptian Gods and Goddesses, and we're gonna go right here, and we're gonna go right to H, and we're gonna go to Hapi, and let's see what they say. All right, Hapi, god of the annual Nile inundation. Hapi lived in the caverns of the cataract of the Nile, presided over by Khnum. He personifies the yearly flood rather than the Nile itself. I'm going to say it again. Now, we done pulled up 2 dictionary sources from Egypt that's saying the exact same thing. But again, I'm going to give you the stalemate because I'm a righteous brother. I'm going to give you the stalemate. But we're going to read this again. This is another Egyptian dictionary, right? It says, Hapi, god of the annual Nile inundation. Hapi lived in the caverns of the cataracts of the Nile, presided over by Khnum, right? He personifies the yearly flood rather than the Nile itself. Hence, references to a large or small Hapi, talking about the flood, the inundation. Hence, references to a large and small flood, a large and small Hapi. I mean, how much clearer do I need to make this? How much? How many Doug and Pony shows do we got to go through to prove the point? Hapi was not the river. The river, however you pronounce it. I got a fucked up Baltimore accent. It says, he personifies the yearly flood rather than the Nile itself. Hence, references to a large and small Hapi. The god is shown in human form with aquatic plants on his head. His body has emphasized pendulous breasts and a prominent paunch. In iconography, whose message is abundance and fertility. The god holds before him an offering tray full of produce resulting from the Nile silk left by the receding waters of the river after the inundation. In the Middle Kingdom, the god is master of the river bringing vegetation. Other epithets for Hapi include Lord of the Fishes, like Reggie has said, and Birds of the Marshes, which might explain the god being given a double goose head in the temple of Abydos. Crocodile gods are in his retinue, and he possesses a harem of frog goddesses and with braided tresses. Although the flood was the source of the country's prosperity, no temples or sanctuaries were built specifically in honor of Hapi, but his statues, including some where the pharaoh himself is carved as the god, and reliefs were included in the temple of other deities. The other side of the coin is an Egyptian hymn to Hapi tells us was that no temple priesthood could commandeer laborers to work on Hapi's building projects. Demands often made in the names of other divinities. That's all crazy. I don't even understand none of that last part. But the part that means everything to me is that Hapi personifies the yearly flood rather than the Nile itself. Who we got on here? My bad. I seen some people come in here. I was in the middle of the spittle. Okay, we got Gideon Israel. What's up, bro? I know you came in first. What's happening with you?
Shalom.
Shalom.
To everybody
Shalom.
on the family. Yeah, I want to give all praises to the Most High in the name of Yahshua.
That's what's up.
I'm just listening to you, brothers. It's a good bill. And one question I did have, you said that was the point you brothers was trying to make, and I wanted to know, what is that point?
That the river is was known by another name. That Hapi wasn't the river itself; it was the inundation, the flood.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Because the argument started that that they deified the river, right? That the Mediterranean wasn't deified, so they didn't come from the Mediterranean. They said they deified the Nile, right? Or that the Nile was a god. They made the Nile a god. And I said, no, I don't think the Nile itself was a god. And that's what I'm trying to prove right now. That the Nile itself wasn't a god. That it was aspects of it.
I would agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
That Hapi more or less put himself in the Nile and caused it to flood.
Good point. Hey, Corey. What's happening, Corey? You must be working.
Peace. What up? I'm just listening in. What's going on, bro?
Ain't nothing. What's popping? You good?
Yeah. I'm just here listening to a good show, man. I think you and Reggie having a good dialogue.
Yeah.
I see y'all trying to work on some clarity here.
Yeah, just trying to get some clarity.
You know, there's you, Corey, with that Egyptian shit on there?
Yeah.
That's the Mediterranean guy, or Woojware, right? Whichever rendition you like.
Hell yeah. Hey, what's going on, Gullah? How you doing today?
What's good with it, bro? I'm just chilling, man. I heard enjoying this Texas weather, man. I was gonna say, they didn't call the river Happy. They call it Itaru.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I seen you just put that in the chat. Hell yeah. But it is some discrepancy because I think Breasted. Let me see.
Breasted was racist, of course.
Who I got?
And two, I wonder when we're gonna start having some West African argument. We need to start figuring out where the hell jollof rice and shit come from and all that shit. We need to start arguing. That's the shit we should be arguing about. Shit.
Hey, you got my number. Anytime you wanna put a build together, you dig what I'm saying? You hit me up and we'll work on it and we can hit the button and do it. Like,
bet
definitely. You know what I mean? I'm
yeah. All the history buffs, man. Y'all get into the West African thing. I be wanting to hear some of that.
Yeah. If you brothers go to I don't want to say all Israelite channels because some have misinformation about the African, but if you go to some channels, you'll see that we do a lot of West African histories and studies.
Okay.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That's cool.
Okay.
Definitely.
Cool. All right, so check this out. Oh, Jalonda, Juju, what it do? My bad. I apologize. Let me
No, you're fine. What it do? I snuck up in here.
Okay. You
Peace,
cool?
family. Peace to the panel. Peace to the chat. I see you got a couple daggers.
Yeah, I threw a few, but like I said, I'm willing to take the stalemate.
Don't be modest.
No, I'm
Pseudo killer and there's no need to be modest.
No, I'm willing to take because we have Wallace Budge, right? Wallace Budge actually claimed that Hapi was the oldest name for the river, right? I don't know if he's all the way disproven. I don't know how to get to the text that he let me see.
You don't have the Wallace Budge primary or none of his books?
I have the book right here. But I don't know where he got this hymn from. I'll send it to Reggie and see if he could track it down. Because if in this hymn, if it's used, if they used hep, then that would be a dagger for smashing them.
Got it. The only thing I would say is that we do need to continue to examine the evolution or the transformation of Hap to Happy, if that is so, because I heard some things about that. Like, I'm learning, so all this is like very new to me for sure. But I did hear one assertion about the river being pre-dynastic or in the Old Kingdom or before it was being called Hap, and then it was called Happy later, something like that. So
yeah. Budge said that. I read it earlier.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Wallace Budge said that shit.
Understood. He's the only one that we've found who said that thus far.
Well, Wiki says it. Wait, let me pull it up. Wiki says it in but I read I read a source that said that Wiki was share my screen. Let me make sure y'all can see it. Let me pin myself. I gotta do this shit blurry. But anywho, it says in the ancient Egyptian language, the Nile was called Hapi or Itaru, meaning river. So Wiki said it. You know what I mean? So they're not getting this from nowhere, right? Like, so I'm willing to do a stalemate, but I just went to the British Museum. So either the British Museum don't know what they talking about. So who's more credible, the British Museum or Wikipedia?
Understood.
You dig what I'm saying? Because the British Museum, says, nah, the river and Happy is two different things. So,
okay.
So like I said, I'm willing to do a stalemate.
And I think what I was going to say, I think Wiki kind of generalizes more so, you know what I mean? I think that was more of a general statement that Wiki made. I don't know if they was really being specific, you know what I mean, on what they were saying. Like, but yeah, I hear you. I would accept the stalemate too, you know.
y'all being so nice. Uwa-ur, is that your new name? How you pronounce that, Corey?
Ut-ur.
Ut-ur. What is Ut-ur?
Or Wujwer. Any rendition is fine.
Ut-ur. That's
you gotta roll your R's, Corey, like you really speaking Afro-Asiatic.
Right.
Oh, how you do that? With the
Yeah, you and all them niggas balling.
But Ut-ur is the god of the Mediterranean, Corey?
Yes, yes, it is.
Okay,
What you
understood.
say? How you pronounce it?
It's either Wujwer or Uter.
Okay.
Ut-ar.
Okay. All right. Okay, no problem. Watch where.
Ut-ar.
We can pull him up though. We can if y'all wanna know who
Yeah.
he is.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I can pull my
Significant
man's up. Pull my
of
man
the
up.
Mediterranean.
He's pretty
Absolutely.
interesting. He got cast out of somewhere because I was reading up on him, but I didn't get a chance. I was on break and I was reading, but then I got interrupted. So, yeah, go ahead, pull him up.
All right,
Okay, okay.
Let me go to him because he got two different spellings. Right.
Yep,
Let me go to
two different renditions. Yep. I think it's got something to do with the time period, but I ain't totally sure on that.
Yeah, Happy looking like he with the alphabet people.
Why Jet? No, that's not him. Wajwar.
Are you doing that, Corey? I'm gonna say something to the chat, just because I do be keeping up a reading with the chat, trying to address some questions or whatnot. But to Chaz, I'm gonna speak from what I've heard or know, but for the most part, pseudo killers, they don't totally discount Budge, but it's not a source that they're gonna run to first, if that clears it up. So the other day when a source was put on the screen, I believe it was on Smash's show, Sosa was asking what the source was because it was qualifying that Happy was the river and not the deification of the flood. And when Sosa questioned it, it came up as Budge. And yeah, they will tear Budge up. Sosa will, because he knows the most, I think, concerning the subject matter. If that clears it up for you, Chaz.
All right, so we got Wedgeware, fertility god, personifying under this name, which means great grain, either the Mediterranean Sea of the North
You're not
Coast.
sharing. Oh, okay. You sharing on YouTube? Oh, okay, yeah. I got you. We can't see you sharing like you. You know what I mean?
Y'all can?
In the Zoom, we ain't. I mean, we see. I don't know. It ain't sharing in the Zoom. You know what I mean?
So my picture in the Zoom ain't.
It's sharing on your avatar. Like, you know what I'm saying?
And my avatar not pinned?
No, it's not. All
right, hold on.
I don't know. I don't know what they see on YouTube, but what I'm saying in the Zoom is not like sharing the screen.
Dang.
Let me see.
That's crazy.
But go ahead. It's fine. Go ahead and read it. I don't want to ruin it. If they can see it on YouTube, then that's fine. I'm cool.
It's sharing now.
All right.
On YouTube.
It says Wajware, fertility god, personifying under his name, which means great green, either the Mediterranean Sea of the north coast of Egypt, of the major lagoons of the Nile Delta itself, Lake Merit and Idku, Barulus, and Mazala. As early as the Old Kingdom, this deity is shown in a relief from the pyramid site of Abusir. He proceeds among the fecundity figures, carrying an offering loaf on a mat and with the symbols of life, the Ankh sign, suspended from his arm, under his androgynous form, with an emphasized breast and a belly indicative of pregnancy. Wujwar is clearly associated with procreation and prosperity. Water signs are carved across his body, suggesting the rich fishing in the Delta Lakes. Now, let's go back up. It clearly says that he was a deity. Uncle and them tried to argue that it wasn't a god.
Well, just because they say it's a deity, where's the footnote on that? So we're gonna have to be very, how can I say? They're
You gotta
talking
put a
about,
magnifying glass on that.
yeah, well,
Right,
yeah,
I hear you.
just because they say deity, right?
Uh-huh.
Someone
Don't
just
mean it was deified.
so that's just someone trying to make a point, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's in fact uh
It's
beyond what
speaking
someone.
generally then, right there.
Well, excuse. What about the him to happy, brother Reggie? That
We
has him as a person, as personified. Like,
right, but the argument is doesn't mean inundation, right? The so just we could say it's the him to happy, of course, right? To the never happy, but they're talking about the quality. So you're not completely wrong, but but what we have to say is we actually have to see the meta-netching. So when I'm trying to pull up the meta-netching, I'm going to show you some discrepancies of what they do, right? So that's what
I think I think what we're doing, we jumping from one to the next. I think since we on the Wujware, let's focus on that. Or we can go back to the Hapi, because I think when we bounce back and forth, we don't. That's where we mix up and don't get the clarity that we need. You know what I'm saying?
well, you okay, that's fine. Have it your way.
No, I'm just suggesting that, Reggie. You know what I mean?
No,
Because
that's
I don't like. I see like some of these conversations, they go on for months and months, and I'm trying to nail down like where we going wrong at, why we can't come to a conclusion on some of these topics. You know what I'm
well,
saying?
yeah, because there's a bigger point, and you're right. My point is why are we really trying to dissect this? We're losing the point of were they Mediterranean people? That's the thing. And
I think these smaller arguments
okay,
go to help out the bigger points. So I think brought the fact that the Mediterranean was not deified to support his more grander point that the Nile, the culture started. It was an African culture, and it started on the Nile, and because they deified the Nile, so it was more important. So I think he was just trying to add some supporting information to it. You know what I mean?
uh-huh. Yeah, yeah. And so why was the whole point of was the now deified brought up? I missed that.
Say that one more time, Sue.
Why is it important? Why is it important that the Nile is deified, or the Mediterranean is deified? Why is that the point?
Well, I think his argument was that because they didn't deify, and I could be wrong, but this is the way I understood it. Because they didn't deify the Mediterranean, that it was not of as much importance as the Nile, because they had deified the Nile.
furthermore, what I would like to add is that it represented two different things, because I'm quite sure if we was to look deep enough, we would find personifications of the Mediterranean in Egypt, but they would be more or less chaotic and dealing with the sea as opposed with the river, because
Say that again, sir.
it's two different water systems, so they wouldn't revere it as much as they would the Nile. Just as the Romans, they worship the Thames River or what have you, that was in Rome. So the Mediterranean is a different aspect of a netter.
Okay, so the reason why the Mediterranean wasn't important is because basically it was salt water, and it didn't hold a lot of populace. You needed something that feed the feed the humans, the Africans, and feed their livestock. And so the communities would be gathered around the rivers, not the ocean, the saltwater ocean.
Time. And ancient Egyptians really didn't deal with the Mediterranean, being that the Delta, or rather upper or rather lower Egypt, really wasn't developed until Egypt was, fully developed in their theology and cosmology. So the Mediterranean never really did figure into the origins of the ancient Egyptians, from what I've uncovered.
I think that's right. They could, because they would rather travel across land than they would travel around sea. At that particular, the sea is very dangerous to those groups of people.
Right. The Carthaginians called it yam, which is chaos. So yes. I'm not sure what was the Egyptian word for sea, but I'm quite sure it had the same connotations.
Yeah. So I don't disagree. So then if the argument is, well, they didn't deify the great green, right? So there's okay, they didn't deify it because it wasn't that as the greatest importance to them, because they weren't around the great green as much. They was around the river valleys. I think that is the bigger point, not whether or not not because it was a river, or an ocean body, and then there's got to be a god of the ocean, but the qualities of the ocean, they didn't come. They came up with blanks. What's it good for, right? And that's just pretty much what they're dealing with. Like what's good for me, right? It's not good for me. So I'm gonna talk about the people. I'm gonna talk about the things that's good for me and the qualities that I can pull out to describe to the people. Okay, so so that's why it wasn't important. And then if you look at the periods of ancient Egypt, you look at the periods. Okay, so there's the two lands. There's the upper and the lower, right? And then it's established, and everybody else is a foreigner.
You know who this is?
Everybody else is a foreigner. So they don't. So they trade with foreigners, but they still got them foreigners, right? So I'm not trying to table right now the argument of so much of the Mediterranean peoples right now, because I can do a better job doing something else. What I would like to say is that the Mediterranean wasn't that important to the state of Egypt. Even if you're fishing and you bring out fishing, they ain't got no refrigeration. The fish, you better eat the fish the same goddamn day, or you're gonna die, right? You're gonna get food poison, right? You can't drink the water. You can't bring your cattle around it, right? There's things in the deep that they didn't know. They didn't want to mess with it. They had more understanding of the Nile. They had just more understanding, and so they described it better. So then they can say, well, where it comes from, and then they can go into fantasy minds and create a cave where a god dwells, and that we want to talk to that god. Nice story. Nice story. Sorry, comedics, just nice story. They would make it more important than what it is. The fact of the matter is, they just wanted to know where is the source of the Nile, the cataracts, and then we'll create a story around. We create a mythical story around it. Okay, so Happy.
So you say. Oh,
yes.
Well, I just wanted to ask a question about some of the things you had laid down, if that's all right.
No, of course.
I understand. I understand that they did, you know what I'm saying, view the river as important, but you got to really understand too that parts of the river, all the way from the Mediterranean Sea down to South Egypt, they had Mediterranean type flora and fauna, and they used those resources. So how could they not think of it important? Because some of the resources started growing around the Mediterranean and spread down ever since the Heliocene period.
Okay, but okay, so we will talk about the resources. We talk about the resources, which they actually do.
Okay,
But talking
Mediterranean
about,
regions, and it spread down as the
yeah, but what's the point? I'm slow.
What if we're talking about Egypt, you gonna say what's the point? When we talk about the Mediterranean, y'all ask what's the point? It was a part of their world, right? So what if I said what's the point about talking about the Nile?
So then, no, but see, you're missing my point because I'm not an Egyptomaniac.
Okay.
I'm just trying to say when they talked about those areas, they talked about the resources, and then occasionally they might make a spooky story. But ultimately, they're describing the resources. So the resources are important, and they made a story about Hapi, right? And they embellished it, and I showed you where they embellished it from the Famine, Stela. So I think I have to text up, but I might have to. You might have to go to the TLA for me because Hapi is in this text is not necessarily yet a netter. So I'm just scrolling down and trying to find out when do they make Hapi a netter? So give me a few more seconds. But do you understand my point, Gulagichi? My point is that they would first they would talk about the elements that they need, the things, and then they might make a story. But it depends on the whole quality of
and I just want to add something, and this is just me just looking in on the thing here. I think there's an issue with the time period. I think in your idea you have a certain time period in your mind when you think of the importance of the Mediterranean to Egypt as because Egypt was not a country per se. Egypt was an empire. So when you talk about the importance of the Mediterranean to Egypt as an empire, I think it's different from when you talk about the importance of the Mediterranean when you're talking about Egypt in a state where there's these multiple subcultures that end up making up the population of Egypt later on. And so, you have multiple subcultures, and some of them was mentioned last night. Some of these cultures are like the Badarian culture and others like them, right? I think, the Nile would have been probably more importance to not all of those groups, but to some of those groups, I would say.
Well, almost all of those groups is water. So you need fresh water for all of those groups.
Definitely. You definitely need fresh water. I don't believe the Nile was just the only place to get fresh water.
No, there was lakes. There was lakes that was drying up at the time. So you're right. The Nile, the titular,
and also you have people in the Delta region too. So,
well, the Delta region needs.
I think it's filtered out
from the Delta. That's where the Nile Yeah, and then you have right, and so you're gonna hang around the delta to plant your crops and to for your livestock and to drink water.
Definitely, if farming is of any importance, that Delta region would have been
Right.
pretty much
And the
important.
same goes for the Levant.
With off of the banks of the Nile, also. Definitely.
Right.
Yeah, you had like three areas where the population was huge. Like before, like when people started to settle, like pre-dynasty, you had a huge population in the lower Nile. You had a huge population in the upper Nile. You had a huge population in what's the area called in the Nubia, Dungala, and all that area right there. You had a huge population there, so it was simultaneous population in different areas. People weren't just moving A to B type shit. You had different people in the same places at the same time.
Yeah, so I just wanted to lay the time period thing out there, just so I could add just a little bit of clarity to the situation, because Egypt was something that came to be. I don't think it just popped up out of nowhere. So it was a developing thing over time, and it's very, very complicated the way it was developed. So I think we have to keep chronology in mind when we have these discussions about Egypt and what's of importance and what's not of importance. Because I think
all right, y'all heard it. The new link is up. Go over there to the new link, the new link and the new stream. I didn't want to carry all of that over to my small little presentation. So go over to the new link. I'm ending this stream. The Zoom is still up over on the new link. I think it's called PK Wednesday Afternoon Part 2. So I'm gonna put the link back in the chat. Go over there now. They're still talking. They're still and I'm about to go over there and keep getting it in with them. But I gotta run back to work, so I had to detach myself from all of this and hit the road. Click the new link, y'all.
Heat Rock 410. What it is, though. Take y'all on a journey. Notorious is glorious, victorious. Yeah, yo. I ain't asking for a friend, I need to know myself. And if you never ask, how would you know yourself? It's crazy how your parents...